What's good, you guys? It's Lifestyle from lifestyledidit.com, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how I personally like to make my melodies wider. I'm going to show you a few mixing tips and tricks that I like to use to add to melodies, duplicate the melody and add to that to initially make the entire melody wider, in essence making the mix sound fuller. Let's get into it. Alright, so this is the beat I brought up for today's video. So the melody sounds good, but I want it to be wider. I want to have more to it. I want it to fill out the mix a bit more. I want it to have some more characteristic to it. So what I'm going to do is just solo it and listen to it by itself in the mixer. So some people would think that already sounds good, and it does sound good, but I want to clear some room for that 808 with some EQ. I want to warm it up with some saturation, and then I want to kind of affect it and give it some type of tone to it with a few different plugins. So first, we're going to start off with my personal favorite, adding harmonic content, excitement, warmth, tone to it, and we're going to use saturation for that. So there's millions of different saturation plugins. I'm going to use Decapitator. So the first thing I always throw on my melodies is something to warm it up, give it some tone, and add some harmonic content. Now, we can go crazy with this, and we can really give it like a nasty, distorted tone like this. But that's not what we're here for. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it real subtle. I'm going to start at 0. It automatically gains the output for us, so that's cool. That's what I love about this plugin. And I'm going to find where I hear it kind of warms it up, but doesn't give it too much of that harmonic excitement and kind of change the tone. I just want to warm it up. So that sounds pretty good. Watch if I go a little bit higher. You can see it's getting a little too aggressive. So I want to keep it around here. Let's try some different settings. Let's try the Neve. Alright, so this sounds good right here. Now let's go ahead and bring in an EQ and kind of make space. There already is an EQ right here that we can mess with, but I want a few more bands instead of just a low pass and a high pass. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to open up an EQ. I'm going to take out a lot of this low end, but I want to use a shelf because there's some low end in there that I still want to be present. I just want to make room for the 808. So what I'm going to do is actually let the 808 play, and then I'm going to go ahead and do my cut. So that sounds good to me, so that's fine for the cutting. As I said, I'm shelving because I still want some of that low end down there. I'm not going to cut all of it out. That's just how I like to do it. There's many ways to do it. You could just do a low cut, wipe it all out. But for this melody, I want some of that bottom end, and as long as it's not clashing, I'm fine. I'm just using my ears. So the next thing I'm going to do is get some of this 500 area out that I kind of hear is a little bit muddy. So just a small amount around there, and I'm going to do a narrow cut for it. So I just cut out a tiny bit of muddiness we had going on there, and then I'm going to go and get a little bit of bite to the melody. So it's going to be somewhere from the 2 to 5K range, and then we'll move on to the next plugin. All right, so let's do 5K, broad boost, and let's go up maybe just 2 dB. And we boosted a tiny bit, so I'm going to bring this out just a little bit and make sure that we're still good on our gain staging. Alright, we're a little bit louder, so let's go ahead and back this off. So next we're going to add a delay. I'm going to go in here, I'm going to get the delay 3, and we're going to do a faster delay and then just tuck it in the back, and it's just going to add a bit of space because we're going to do a ping pong effect where it's going from left to right. So I'm going to come to the time knob. Right now we're at a quarter note delay. It'd be following the metronome. We're going to go to half. So let's go over here, bring it to 2. I'm going to turn this to ping pong, have it stereo all the way as it is. The level's fine. And then we're going to go over here to the wet knob, and we're kind of blend this in. So this would be if it was fully on. Sounds crazy, right? We don't want that much going on. So we're going to bring the wet knob all the way to 0 and blend it back in. For diffusion, I'm actually going to put a small amount of diffusion and spread it over. And I don't want any distortion, so that's fine. And let's just blend this in a tiny bit till we hear it and back it off. So obviously that would be too much, but you hear what's going on. If you pause it, you could really hear what happens with delays and reverbs. So let's go ahead and just bring it in a little bit. Cool, that's all I want. I don't want anything crazy from this. And the last two things we're gonna put on is a simple reverb, and then we're going to put on a bit of space by using a stereo widener. So let's go over here to the reverb, and I'm gonna bring the size up. I want to have not too much low end in it. We could have a little bit of cut, and let's actually go dry and bring the wet signal up. This is how I like to set my reverbs. So I'll actually put the metronome on so I could hear, and I wanna get it in time. I'm gonna show you. If I have a huge decay on it, which I don't want, it's overlapping, it's not sounding good, right? So let's start with a very low decay, and what I'm gonna do is bring it up, and I'm gonna get it in time with the metronome. Because I'm just using this to create a space. So if we wanted a longer decay, we could go longer. I kind of want a short kind of quarter note decay, so I'm just gonna set that in like that. Sounds good to me. With a tiny bit of overlap. Cool, just like that. And then let's go over here, bring the dry up, and kind of just blend this in a tiny bit. A little bit of stereo separation for the reverb. And then the last thing we're going to do is a stereo widener. You can use the one in FL, or you can use a Waves one. I'm going to use Waves. I'm going to use S1. If you don't have S1, there is a widener right here where you can widen it, or you could throw it in mono. I have S1, so why not use it? And I'm just going to bring out a little bit of the side information. That sounds good. You want to make sure that you check in mono, because if you go crazy with this, you can get some phase cancellation. And then you want to make sure your gain staging levels are the same when it's on and off. And then I'm going to show you before and after. So you'll see our level stayed consistent, right around -12. It's not louder, but it sounds wider and it sounds fuller. Now, the next step we're going to do is have our melody duplicated like this. And I pitched it up, so it's up by an octave. And over here, we're going to affect this a certain way and blend it in. So right off the jump, what I want to do is get rid of some of that transient. I don't want it to be kind of standing out. I want it to be tucked in the back for this, since it's a duplicate and it's a lot higher. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to get the transient shaper. And I'm going to bring down the attack, and I'm going to have this kind of more of a bell, wider like this. So here's what it did. You can see it kind of just smoothed out that transient. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. The next thing I'm going to do is bring in a chorus, right? I'm going to get a cool effect with the chorus. So we're going to go over here to the flangers, get a chorus, and I'm going to just choose a preset. So this one sounds good. It's the poly chorus. Not going to mess with it too much. I just use presets with choruses and effects like that because, I don't know, I just get ideas. Scrolling through presets kind of gives me ideas, and I'll tailor it if I want, but that one sounds good, so let's run with that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is add another tape saturation to this, but a different one. Now I'm going to use the Waves Kramer tape, and over here we're going to throw it on, and I don't want to use the actual tape of it, right? I don't want to get the saturation from it. All I want to use is this wow and flutter, and there's a bunch of plugins that have things like this. You could use Isotope, RC20, but this one has a real cool wow and flutter, and I'm going to show you why I like this. So if I turn it down, press play, watch what it does. So I just want a little bit of that flutter it has. That'll be good. And then the last thing I'm going to add to this is an EQ, and I'm going to get a low cut. I'm going to cut everything out, maybe up to like 500, and boost a tiny bit of the top end to give it some air. And then let's widen this out a little bit, maybe 30%. And let's listen to before. After. Could widen it a little bit more. On this, we can actually put a delay. Let's try it real quick. Let's put a quarter note delay on it. So just get H delay and do a quick quarter note delay. Maybe a half note. Let's see. Let's tuck it way in the back. And now what we're going to do is bring in our original melody, and we're going to tuck this one in like this and slowly blend this in. Sounds good. I'm going to back it off a little bit. All right, before and after. All right, so you can see how those few tricks really added width and depth to the melodies and made it more exciting. I hope you guys can pick up a few things from this. This is just a few ways that I like to do it and a few plugins that I like to use when doing this. If you guys did like this video, leave a thumbs up. You can follow me on all social medias at Lifestyle Did It. Make sure to hit my site, lifestyledidit.com, for everything else. Other than that, subscribe to your boy, push notifications. Thanks.